Shalom, Hebrews and Hebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple, and we are doing our daily bread where we've been kind of lacking the last couple of days. My apologies to that. I had a lot going on. Of course, me being in the oil field and the oil prices went and somehow went through the bottom and wound up in the negative, and ridiculous. But anyway, I managed to hold on to my job, and the company I'm working for is keeping all of us working, doing an awesome job of being an employer. Kudos to them. One of our listeners, who is also a close brother of mine, we need to keep him in our prayers. He's had to go to Arkansas for some personal reasons, and so he's taking a vacation and he's doing that. So let's, if you would, just help me keep him lifted up in prayer. It's pretty ridiculous right now. Somebody gets hurt and they go into the hospital, can't even have no visitors at all. That may not be the case all the way around, but I know in Arkansas, when I talked to my brother earlier this evening, he was not even allowed to go into the hospital and visit. And so, which I'll kind of give you a short rundown. His mother-in-law slipped and fell and broke her hip. And so they did a surgery on her today, and then she's going to be in rehab for the next several weeks. And they're not allowed to go and visit. It's pretty sad, you know. I mean, my thoughts right now is, if something happens to me, don't take me to the hospital. I'll lay right here and die in the living room or in my truck or wherever, but at least I'll be around family. This is ridiculous. Plain and simple ridiculous what's going on in our government right now. And I'm going to make a video on that later, tomorrow. I'm going to try something new because, like I said, I'm lucky to have a job, and so just riding around checking leases is not part of my job description right now. We're actually in the yard breaking unions out, cleaning up, and so I'm not able to set my truck and make videos right now. So that's kind of what's thrown us off the last couple of days. So we're just going to improvise and keep on moving. That's part of, you know, I was telling you about the 10 Club, which we're doing the 4 Club. But it happens, you know. There'll be times where you'll miss a couple of days, but check it out. This is the awesome part about God's living word. This will correlate somehow, some way, by us missing a day or two and missing a couple of chapters. When you pick up and where you left off, it's going to be amazing that wow, God showed up and showed out. And it may not be in this reading, and it may not be tomorrow, but somewhere down the road, it will correlate. Where had we have stayed true and on track, might have missed something. So always look for the good silver lining that God has. So with that said, we will be reading Genesis 28, Matthew 28. That'll be finishing up the book of Matthew. Psalms 29 and Proverbs, what is today, 22nd. And so I'm going to leave the camera pointing towards the flag. I'm going to scoot over here, and I'm going to get me a haircut while I read. And so we'll see how that works out. Y'all be blessed, encouraged by this word. A little noisy for a second. All right. Genesis chapter 28. Bereshit 28. And Yitzhak called Jacob, or Isaac called Jacob, and blessed him, and commanded him, and said to him, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, and go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel. Verse 2 again, let me reread that. Arise, and go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father. Take a wife for yourself from there, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai bless you, and make you fruitful, and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples. And give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, which Elohim gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padam Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. And Esau saw that Yitzhak had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there. And that as he blessed him, he gave him a command, saying, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw the daughters of Canaan. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. And Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, and the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife besides the wives he had. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he came to a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and they lay down in that place to sleep. He made him a pillow out of a rock. And we complain here in America, we're oppressed, right? All right. Verse 12. And he dreamed and saw a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reached to the heavens, and saw messengers of Elohim going up and coming down on it. And see, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, Elohim of Abraham, your father, and the Elohim of Isaac, the land on which you are lying. I gave it to you and your seed, and your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west, to the east, to the north, and the south. And all the clans of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your seed. And see, I am with you, and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land. For I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. And Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, truly, Yahweh is in this place, and I did not know it. Now there's a pretty good little statement there that we can look at. How often do we think and feel, because we're being oppressed or uncomfortable, that Yahweh has forgot about us? Remember, Jesus said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. If you're not hearing from Yahweh, if you're not hearing from the Lord, it's because you ain't listening. Verse 17. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of the heavens. And Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a standing column, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. However, the name of that city had been Luz previously. And Jacob made a vow, saying, seeing Elohim is with me, and has kept me in this way, that I am going, and has given me bread to eat and a garment to put on, when I have returned to my father's house in peace. And Yahweh has been my Elohim. Then this stone which I have set as a standing column shall be Elohim's house. And all of that you give me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you. That's something that we all need to understand and recognize. It has nothing to do with the rock, the column. It has to do with the idea that you acknowledge that Yahweh has given you food to eat. He's given you garments to wear. He's given you the breath that you breathe each and every time you breathe. We need to understand that that's where we need to get our mindset. The good times and the bad. That we acknowledge Yahweh as sovereign king of not only the universe, but also our own lives. That's why I love reading the Old Testament so much, because you can, out of the physical acts of these individuals that we read about, there is such just monumental lessons that we can learn and we can equate to our own personal lives. So, with that said, let's go to, let's do Psalms. We'll do Psalms 29. Psalms 29, Tehillim 29. It's a short one, so we may do two. Let's do two. Now remember, when you're doing the 4 club or the 10 club or you're reading, if you miss a day, don't try to catch up. Just continue reading where you're at. If not, you'll get overwhelmed. Tehillim 29 verse 1 says, ascribe to Yahweh, O ye sons of the mighty. Ascribe to Yahweh esteem and strength. Ascribe to Yahweh the esteem of his name. Bow yourselves to Yahweh in the splendor of set apartness. In the splendor of his holiness we bow ourselves. Now is that kind of not correlating with what we just read of giving all alms to the Lord? Verse 3, the voice of Yahweh is over the waters. The El of esteem thunders. Yahweh is over many waters. The voice of Yahweh is with power. The voice of Yahweh is with greatness. The voice of Yahweh is breaking the cedars. Yahweh is breaking the cedars of Lebanon into pieces, and he makes them skip like a calf. Lebanon and Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Yahweh cuts through the flames of fire. The voice of Yahweh shakes the wilderness. Yahweh shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Yahweh makes the deer give birth and strips the forest bare. And his heckle, everyone says, esteem. Or in his temple, everyone says, glory and honor. Verse 10, Yahweh sat enthroned at the flood, and Yahweh sets as king or sovereign forever. Yahweh gives strength to his people, and Yahweh blesses his people with peace. Kind of get the feel of that there? Pretty much everything is Yahweh's. Everything belongs to Yahweh. All glory and honor is to be given to Yahweh.
Everything that happens is because the voice of Yahweh.
Everything.
The
Spoken.
fire, the earthquakes, the...
Everything. What's everything?
Everything.
Everything but, my day in the limelight. So everything is everything. Chapter 30, verse 1 says, I exalt you, O Yahweh, for you have drawn me up, and have not let my enemies rejoice over me. Yahweh, my Elohim, I've cried to you, and you have healed me. Yahweh, you brought me up from Sheol. You have kept me alive from going down to the pit. Sing a praise to Yahweh, his loving committed ones of his. Give thanks at the remembrance of his set apartness, for his displeasure is for a moment. His delight is for life. Weeping might last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. As for me, I have said in my ease, never would I be shaken. Yahweh, in your good pleasure, you have made my mountain to stand strong. Now remember, mountain is a representation of the church body. So, with that, Yahweh, your good pleasure, have made my mountain and to stand strong. We're in a place here in this nation where they're saying it's not essential for us to gather. We're fixing to break that restriction. Anyway. You hid your face, and I was troubled. I cried to you, O Yahweh, and to Yahweh I prayed. What gain is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Would dust praise you? Would it declare your truth? Yeah, I believe so. I believe Jesus said that if the people don't praise me, the rocks will. Verse 10. Hear, O Yahweh, and show me favor. Yahweh, be my helper. You have turned my mourning to dancing for me. You have torn my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, so that esteem might praise you and not be silent. O Yahweh, my Elohim, I thank you forever. Forever? Like, just when I'm doing good, right? When the oil feels good. All my bills are paid. Nobody's out to harm me. Or no, forever, right? Praise him in the good, we praise him in the bad.
In verse 12, what does this still mean?
Glory and honor.
The glory and honor might praise you and not be silent.
Yeah. Mishle 22, Proverbs 22. I think what I'll start doing, because days do come up, I may do a couple of videos a day. That way, when I got things going on, I still get you guys videos. I feel bad for the last couple of days not having videos out. Mishle 22. A good name is preferable to great riches. Favor is better than silver and gold, and the rich and the poor meet together. Yahweh is the maker of them all. A clever one foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple go on and are punished. The reward of humility is the fear of Yahweh, riches and glory in life. Thorns, snares are the way of the perverse. He who guards his life keeps far away from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he'll not turn from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. I believe we're all fixing to figure that one out. Everybody who is eyeballs deep in debt is fixing to understand that saying right there, that the borrower is servant to the lender. And although we're in debt for buying this business, we're in debt to an individual who does not charge us interest. It makes a big difference. And in the end, it will prove to be so. Verse 8, he who sows unrighteousness reaps trouble, and the rod of his wrath perishes. He who has a good eye is blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. Cast out the scoffer, and the strife goes out, and contention and shame cease. Quit hanging out with people that are always complaining about something. Quit hanging out with people that always are downers and bring you down. Now, that doesn't mean that you refuse to bring the gospel to them, but don't let them be the lime of your life, you know. Kind of like Facebook. Right now, you can get swarmed with Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and it's a scoffer. Facebook is a scoffer. It will completely frustrate your life. Verse 11, he who loves cleanness of heart, whose speech is pleasant, a sovereign is his friend. The eyes of Yahweh shall watch over the knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the treacherous. The lazy one says, there's a lion outside. I'm going to be murdered in the streets. Our government's taking us down, right? All this bad stuff, it's just wham, wham, wham. Where are you putting your focus? The mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit, and that strange woman is the wicked false church. The one denounced by Yahweh falls in there. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, and the rod of discipline drives it far from him. Without discipline, you walk in folly all your life. One oppresses the poor to increase his wealth. Another gives to the rich only to come to poverty. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise. Apply your heart to my knowledge, for they are pleasant. If you guard them within you, let all of them be ready on your lips. That your trust might be in Yahweh. Where is your trust? Is it in Yahweh? Constitution? Your governor? Your government? Your police? Where's your trust? I have caused you to know today, even you. Have I not previously written to you of counsels and knowledge, to cause you to know the certainty of the words of truth, the word of words of truth to those who send to you? Do not rob the poor because he's poor, and oppress not the afflicted at the gate. For Yahweh pleads their cause, and shall plunder those who plunder them. Make no friendship with one given to wrath, and do not go with a man of rage, lest you learn his ways, and find yourself ensnared. Do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who are guarantors for debts. If you do not have the means to pay, Why should he take away your bed from under you? Do not move the ancient boundary which your fathers have set, and do not see a man who is skilled in his work. Do you see a man who is skilled in his work? He does stand before the kings, and he does stand before obscure ones. All right, do not move the ancient boundary which your fathers set. That's pretty profound. If you're not careful, you read right past that. Remember in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, it says, get back to the old paths. It's because we've basically walked away from the foundation of truth in God's Word. We're trying to do it our way. We're building golden calves to try to worship God. That is moving the ancient boundaries. Might do a video on that one. That's pretty profound. All right, let's get to Matthew 29 or 28. Sorry, and we have finished our first book. Matityahu 28 verse 1 says, but late in the Sabbath, as it was drawing into day, day one of the week, Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. And see, there was a great earthquake, for a messenger of Yahweh came down out of heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his garments white as snow. And the guards trembled for fear of him, and became like dead men. The messenger responding said to the woman, do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Yeshua, who was impaled. He is not here. He is raised. As he said, come, see the place where the master lay. And go quickly, say to his taught ones, that he was raised from the dead, and see, he is going before you to Galilee. There you shall see him. See, I have told you. And they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and they ran to the report of his taught ones. See, here's one of those big deals there that women couldn't be a witness against anyone back in the day. Women could not be a witness for good or for bad. So if we're trying to come up with a scandal or whatever that Jesus is raised from the dead, we would not have used two women to go and proclaim this. You feel me? Verse 9, and as they were going to report to his taught ones, see, Yeshua met them, saying, greetings. And they came and held him by the feet and did bow to him. Then Yeshua said to them, do not be afraid, and go and report to my brothers to go to Galilee, and they shall see me there. And while they were going, see, some of the watch, having gone into the city, reported to the chief priests all that took place. And when they had come together with the elders and taken counsel, they gave enough silver to the soldiers, saying, say that his taught ones came at the night and stole him away while he slept. See, we're trying to create a scandal. And if this should be reported to the governor, we shall win him over and keep you out of trouble. And having taken the silver, they did as they were instructed, and this account was widely spread among the Yehudim to this day. And the 11 taught ones went away into Galilee to the mountain which Yeshua had appointed for them. And when they saw him, they bowed to him, but some doubted. And Yeshua came up and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given me in heaven and on earth. All authority, not some, all authority. That means authority over your life, my life included. Verse 19, the culmination of the good news. Therefore, go and make taught ones of all nations, immersing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to guard all that I've commanded you. And see, I am with you always until the end of the age. We make light of all of that. For one, what did Jesus teach us? You know, that what would Jesus do? Well, he probably wouldn't do a lot of what you claim he likes to do. But anyway, nonetheless, he taught us to do what this book says he taught us to do. And if we don't read this book, how are we to know to go into all the nations and teach the good news? What are you teaching if you don't know what's said in here? Are you just regurgitating garbage? Nonsense.
It's crazy. Even back in those days, people were paying off the governor, and people were paying each other off even then to speaking true things.
Well, I mean, it's just like we've said before. If we are made in the likeness and the image of the Almighty Yahweh, and He's the same yesterday, today, and forever, our sinful human nature is the same yesterday, today. One day that will be transformed and completely renewed and fixed. But for now, we have the same wicked, deceitful heart today as the Pharisees had in them days. All the way back to Adam and Eve. And it's nothing new under the sun. We have to understand that. How do we overcome that? We become holy and set apart as He's holy and set apart. We don't follow the crowds. We don't follow the masses. We don't run around shouting ignorance. Do what God says to do. Plain and simple. All right. Thank y'all for sticking with us. Check out my shirt. Coop, come out of her, my people, so you do not partake in her plagues. Get out of them cities, you know. It's like Brother Bear from Bear Independent says all the time. And Pastor Dow and Pastor Fox. Get out of those population centers. Get out of the population centers and become set apart.
Can I get your beard?
Woo, no, we're not. I don't have a beard.
I need your mustache.
No, absolutely not. This is interesting, huh? Anyway, y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and always be frustrated. The soul-filled disciple getting his hair cut. We'll catch you guys on the next ride.